Football, bloody hell. But they're never given. That's the winner.
Welcome to the American Red Devils podcast. I'm John.
I'm Alex.
And we're bringing you the best Manchester United news from this side of the pond.
Woo, sir. How we doing? Manchester United are back. EPL game week 1 in the books. 3 points, 1-0. Solid performance, solid result against Fulham, the cottagers of Southern London, of West London, and decent performance, 1-0. Joshua Zirkzee gets a debut goal for the young Dutch lad, and, pretty good. Not perfect, not the genuine article quite yet, but compared to what I think I was going to saw, what I thought I was going to see game week 1 versus what we saw the last 2 game week 1s over the last 2 years under Erik ten Hag. Pleasantly surprised. Not as dangerous as a Fulham side as we're used to seeing. Or they lost Paulinho. That's a big miss. But I thought United controlled the game quite well during large parts of it. We had a couple of times where we got caught out, especially in the second half where Maguire had to pull off a split-see and did it quite well. But, this game could have been 2-3-0. So either way, big 3 points. Enjoy the clean sheet. Old Trafford looked to be in fine voice. Excited about the season ahead. Sir, how are we feeling? How are we doing?
Doing good, 3 points. Opening game of the season, like I said. Erik ten Hag had to land this plane with his squad. Lots of changes. A lot of players coming back from this European summer. Kind of throws a wrench in his game plan, and a lot of players weren't fit. Also, we're dealing with injuries. Transfers coming in like Mazraoui coming in at right back. Had a huge game. He looked good. Magoo looking sharp. And then more players might be leaving. More players might be coming. So this is a difficult time to sort of land the plane and find your best 11. Obviously, we didn't have a number 9. You played Bruno and Mount up there. So overall, you just got to win. It's about the result. We won 3 points. Zirkzee gets the goal. What a celebration.
I like that.
I love it.
I like that.
And so just vibes are high. Now you can dig below the surface. You can talk about, well, is the Mason-Bruno combo really working? Do you need an extra man in midfield against Fulham? Probably not. Did the manager, did he know that after playing that against City? Should he have changed it at halftime? So there's a few things, but you're really nitpicking there. And early in the season, it's about the result because everyone's kind of in this weird getting up to fitness phase, and you just have to focus on kind of win, baby, win. And we have another big game against Brighton, and that's going to be another big 3 points. So I want to see us take those as well and come in with some momentum against the Scouse Bastards because we're going to be signing more players, and people are going to be leaving, and we got to somehow put it all together and play well. So it is a tall task for Erik ten Hag right now, but a great result and one at home that you just love to start the season on.
No, all day, right? Because the first 4-6 games of a new season, it's always a challenge. It's always a challenge to get players up to fitness, especially if you're bringing in new talent and getting them to kind of jive and play together well. Same time, European tournaments, we have the combination of all the things happening at once. So getting a result yesterday was huge. Getting those 3 points was massive in the opener of the whole season. Playing decent football, we could have made it, like you said, we could have made it easier on ourselves for sure. We probably should have scored a couple extra goals. Sometimes we were left exposed, but at the end of the day, it was a big 3 points. Good opportunity for a bunch of the lads to get minutes and show areas where we have upside in the squad, right? Garnacho didn't even start. We didn't have a striker in the game. Zirkzee came on, looked quite good. Obviously, that goal was a great contribution for the side. So all we wanted was wins. All we wanted was results because it's going to be a tough period regardless, given the changes we have. But getting a win against Fulham, who are not the same Fulham that we saw beat us last year, but, they're a solid team, and every win counts. So that's a big 3 points to start the year off of.
No, totally. And you like to beat Fulham by more. I mean, a team like Manchester United that is putting the flag down and trying to compete for a league, you like to see more clinicality, sir. You like to see Bruno finish one, Mount finish one, and the team sort of clicking a little more. We're still not greater than the sum of the parts. However that is, or whatever the reason for that. But for me, as a fan and all American Red Devils, you got to take a step back this season because we're in the squad building phase of the Ineos transition. We need to get players in every position. Last year, we didn't have players in key roles, right? That was because we had no front office and we were literally playing without a left back for the majority of the season after letting Reguilon go for no reason at all. That's just incompetence from the front office. Okay, now we have a competent front office. And they're trying to get coverage at every position so that these gaping holes in the squad don't exist. And they deal with these contracts that, like the Jadon Sanchos of the world, as well as renewing other key agreements, like, they have to figure out Lindelof and Maguire that are coming up for renewal. So there's a lot of this sort of squad shuffling and reorganization with contracts, and that's going to be tough to watch this whole season because Erik ten Hag isn't going to have the best team possibly available because Ineos is doing all this squad management and contract rotation work, and that's going to lead to a great squad, a deep squad, and then you can add nice parts to that. That's why we haven't seen some major signings yet. Number one, because of FFP, but eventually, like, you get a good squad and then you build on that squad. And so we're in the squad building phase of the Ineos project, and it's going to be a transition year. We're not ready to compete for the league. People are already getting over their skis on that front, but we just want to play good football as we build out a squad and a culture that is going to get us top 4, and then we can add key components to that next year when we have more cash and then punch up for the title. So I'm really focused more on that top view with Ineos and the squad building than I am kind of trying to day trade Fulham on day one of a season where we have injuries and there's a lot of transition. So let's just take a step back, see it for what it is, enjoy it as a fan, and not try to get too in the weeds on like why United is going to win the league or why this is the most amazing tactical setup of all time. It's just more about building this squad and building the winning culture.
Yeah, very good point. I think a couple of things at play there, right? Beginning of the season, turmoil and transition is something he has to deal with in general. And like you said, they're overhauling the squad. They're overhauling the squad with a long-term vision. They're not day trading like the Glazers were. They're thinking about setting up this team for success 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and they're taking the steps to do that. So a lot of factors at play. This is probably another motivation for why you kept your coach around last year, is like there's enough things already moving that like let's have some one anchor of continuation for the players who have been here since this change came afoot. So I agree, it's going to take 2 to 3 years, I would think, before we kind of like strip out a lot of the gunk in the squad. They've already made big moves. Especially if they could foist Sancho like for like, that would be a huge move for this front office in the first window. Something that I did not think they'd be able to get done. And like you said, build on from there, right? Like City had an unbelievable squad up until when they wanted to win the treble, and then they needed that last little piece called a freak show, Erling Haaland, and that took them over the next level. It's like right now we just got to build the parts and pieces. We made good effort at center back. We bought 2 really good center backs, youngish center backs, and that's feeling better. But like you said, left back, midfield, striker, there's still lots of holes to fill.
Well, that's how you build a squad. You build it from the back, right? You kind of shore up the defense, the midfield, and then you add the exciting attacking components like, insert world-class striker here that we don't need just yet. But quick PSA for the podcast. If you like the American Red Devils, we are for fans, by fans. We just got our YouTube channel off the ground. Please go to YouTube, search American Red Devils, like and subscribe to our channel. It goes a long way. We are pushing out that Muppet Take, the for fan, by fan content. And again, we really appreciate your support. Checking out our YouTube, just like and subscribe. It goes a long way, and it's free. If you want to go the extra mile, check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/American Red Devils. We do a behind-the-scenes episode every single month. Our exclusive Patreon podcast where we break down the prior month for Manchester United transfers and match results. And there's tons of other benefits. Join the top tier of Muppet. Join our Patreon page. And also, check out our store. We have hats, scarves, shorts, beanies, an amazing hat we got here in the bunker. You can check it out. It has it's a trucker with our rubber logo stitched on. It's very nice. Also, our Viva Garnacho scarf flying off the shelves. We sent one to Carrington for the Argentinian himself. Another great way to support the American Red Devils. Also, check out our website, AmericanRedDevils.com, sir, and also tell them about iTunes reviews.
iTunes reviews are a great way to support the pod and help get us found organically by other top Muppets like yourself. And all you have to do to get some free merch from the American Red Devils is to write a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. Send a screenshot of that review to AmericanRedDevils@gmail.com, and I'll personally pick, pack, and ship some free ARD gear. Send it right to your door anywhere in the world. Appreciate those reviews. Keep them coming. We love our fans.
Yeah, we're a small-time operation. We need the help. Like, subscribe, socials, do your thing. And we have an amazing Discord channel as well. The link's pinned on our Twitter. Join the Muppet community. It's absolutely a riot. And boy, when it's the match day and everybody's chatting, we win 3 points. It's a great time. Shout out to the Discord. Let's get into this Fulham match. All right, we're breaking it down. The Cottagers coming to Old Trafford on Friday, August 16th. Lineup, we had Nana in net. Mazraoui at right back, coming right in from Bayern Munich. We're going to call him Maz on the pod. As you know, we're challenged pronouncing these names. Magoo, Martinez, center back pairing. Don't mind that. Delo at left back. Casemiro, Mainu, midfield. Ahmad, Mount, Rashford, and Bruno Fernandes. It was almost like a 4-4-2 defending, and it was a 4-2-4 in attack. So as far as the extra midfielder goes, Ten Hag opted to play Bruno and Mount together like he did against Man City. How are you feeling about this lineup, sir?
There's some good things and some bad things, or not bad things, but challenges. Good to see Mazraoui get thrown right into the deep end. Like you said, that midfield pairing, the center back pairing is pretty good. You have to opt for like Lindelof and Evans, who's, well loved in this pod room, but that's a whole other story. Casemiro, Mainu, Mount, Bruno, Diallo, and Rashford, wing player excited about. Maybe Garnacho's not ready to start. Rashford's like the preferred player at this point. The double 10s, double 8s, whatever you want to call it, with Mount and Bruno, that's a curious one. Not what I would go for, but I think he wanted the high press, which Mount does offer. So, I don't know. What were your thoughts when you saw this 11?
Yeah, I thought very strong. Love the center back pairing. Like Maz coming in. I don't like playing Mount and Bruno. An extra midfielder there. You could play that against City. Makes tons of sense, right? Against a Fulham, though, you saw it get gunked up a little bit. They were swapping, and we're not used to that just yet. So I felt like you could keep it a little more simple against Fulham with a 4-2-3-1. But let's jump into the match, sir. You want to walk us through our key moments?
Yeah. So United in the first half started a little passive, but I think they grew into the game after maybe an opening 10, 14 minutes where they had one decent shot, that is in the Cottagers, 13th minute. Fulham take a crack from outside the outside the box, and it's tipped over by Onana over the bar. Decent little save. It looked like it was going in back corner. But that was the big chance for Fulham in the first half. Afterwards, 29th minute, huge chance for United. Leno get the ball away in a dangerous position. Bruno got it, and he shot it, unfortunately, right at the keeper. And then the big one was the 35th minute. Nice play between Bruno and Casemiro. But just as Bruno's on the ball, the keeper comes out well. So United, not as many clear-cut chances as you would want. One of the big ones was kind of self-served from Fulham itself. But I thought we were in control. We were just like you said, we're not probably creating enough, given that the double 10. But what were your thoughts on the first half?
Yeah, I mean, you play the extra midfielder. We're giving him nothing, right? You get the extra energy from Mason in the press. I think he did amazing off the ball. Bruno was getting forward, though, and at times he wasn't playing in that pocket that he does so well, right? And so it was kind of, we weren't really feeling it from an attacking perspective, but it was working out, winning the ball up high. We were just kind of lacking that, final ball into the box or just creating those chances, getting shots on target. We just had that final ball we couldn't really find. And so while we were really good defensively, in attack, it left a lot to be desired. And so I thought, okay, the clear move is going to be Zirkzee coming on for Mount and then Garnacho for Diallo, which we could all predict. And I felt like the Zirkzee focal point in attack should have come on at 45 because it was clear, hey, we need 3 points. You got to be aggressive. Like we saw it's not working up front, not creating enough at least. And we need to start pushing the agenda because we're Manchester United. We need these 3 points. And so we came out at half. Nothing changed. Do you think Ten Hag should have changed it or do you think he should have kept it?
I don't think it was that dramatic where we needed to, switch it up. Like we weren't losing or getting dominated at that point. I think you want to let it ride out a little bit for the first 10, 15 minutes. And also some of those players you don't want to throw in and expect to play 50 minutes of a second half, right, with stoppage time. So, I bet he was worried about overblowing Zirkzee's legs. Same with Garnacho. We can't risk those two. So that's the argument I would have is, don't meddle as much as early. But I'm just glad he's making these subs now in the 60th minute or 61st minute because these subs used to come 75th minute, 80th minute, and that's just more what you need. You got to affect the game in any way you can, and a great way to do that is substitutions. And I'm glad they came on because we had a couple good chances, to be fair, right before the first wave of subs. But obviously, I think Zirkzee playing that 9, dropping deep, provided a lot in the game.
No, and I think that's totally fair. At the end of the day, I just kind of felt like as United, you're pushing the agenda. We need a goal. So I kind of felt like we needed to get this one and get it done. And I felt like we already knew. We saw it against City. It was the same thing. You play for 45. I need a little more oomph, because we went to plan B, C, and D real quick here in the second half. 53rd, Bruno and Mount combined really well. His shot was blocked early. 56th minute, Maino goes just wide. This was a great one, set up nice for Maino, but again, didn't make it. And here's the sub, 61st, Zirkzee and Garnacho for Ahmad and Mount. I think we all knew that was coming. And if we know it's coming, then Silva also knows it's coming. And this is when the game kind of opened up quite a bit. 66, United got caught out. This one, Magoo, shout out to Magoo. Great performance day one. What a player fighting out here. Pereira, I think, bottled it, but Magoo was there with that trailing leg and blocked the pass to prevent like a clear-cut scoring opportunity for Fulham. Like, we didn't concede much, but this was a big one.
No, this is the most dangerous chance they had the whole game because the shots they did have, they tend to be a little closer to the box. They had a couple scary moments from corners, but this was bad. I mean, this could have gone and totally blown up United today, and all of a sudden they're chasing and trying to get a goal just to tie it. So well done from Magoo, but you would imagine another team takes advantage of this because this was a lucky one.
And there was another one with Adama where Licha cleared it off the line shortly after this. It was 0-0, and Fulham is almost getting some great counterattacking opportunities against United.
You start pushing forward.
And
expose yourself in the back.
Again, I like that's just a concern where you kind of switch it from the four-man midfield. Maybe that's what the manager is thinking. 81st double sub, De Ligt and Evans for Maguire and Maz. I like De Ligt coming on here. He played very well. Obviously, we're trying to manage minutes and fitness. 84th minute sub, McTominay for Mainu. And, sir, then in the 87th minute, we would get our goal. What are we worried about? 87th minute at home against Fulham. Let's go.
Zirkzee with space in which to operate. Casemiro, Garnacho and McTominay! Zirkzee wheels away. He's made his mark on opening night. And the sense of palpable relief around a packed Old Trafford.
What a finish from Zirkzee. What a celebration, too. I really liked it. Look, he's a young kid. You come on at Old Trafford for 30 minutes. You score your first goal for the greatest club in the world. I mean, what a player. What a goal. What a moment. 87th minute winner against Fulham.
And that's what you love about Manchester United because this is the kind of thing you're going to expect at a certain point. It's like Zirkzee's totally going to come on. He's totally going to score the winner. And you're overjoyed by it, but sometimes you're not even surprised. So unbelievable from the lad. Great ball in from Garnacho. Great nose for it. And he just has that touch. You love it. So not all Dutch players blow up on our face. Those Dutch strikers we've signed in the past, some of them worked out. So good on him. Great goal. And also football, no matter what age you're at, is such a confidence game. Especially if you're expected to score goals, it's such a huge confidence game. So him getting a goal early in his career at Manchester United is massive. It's going to be massive for his confidence for the rest of the season. And we need him. We need goals, and hopefully he can contribute.
And then 94th minute, Rashford, Garnacho couldn't combine for a tap. And I felt like the pass was pretty poor from Marcus. It was behind Garnacho. It should have been laid right in front. So again, Garnacho should do better. But I thought the ball from Rashford here was not great. That would sum up Rashford's evening as well, where I just don't think he got a full ticket here, and I don't think he did that well. I thought arguably he should have come off and Ahmad should have stayed on.
I would agree with that. I think Ahmad was more threatening, definitely in the first half. And yeah, Garnacho should finish regardless because he's a top-class football player, but the pass was not great. So
you got to relook at it again.
Maybe I'm
defending
games.
our boy, but the pass was not.
No, I remember watching
off.
it. I remember watching it twice now, and it was kind of behind him, and that it's not an excuse to miss it, but it didn't help.
And I needed that for fantasy. So
Yeah,
if you had no doubt why Bruno didn't score or Garnacho didn't score, it's because I had them both in my fantasy team. Quickly, let's just touch on the stats for this match. You like to see Manchester United 5 shots on target to Fulham's 2. We did concede 10 shot attempts. We had 14, and we had more of the ball, 55% at home. So we dominated the ball. We didn't give them nothing, especially when it came to XG as well, which I will get to in 1 second here. 2.72 to their 0.48. So again, we could have been more clinical. A lot of those are the Bruno chances. Bruno had 2 great ones, Mason Mount. So again, out XGing Fulham, which is huge. And everything on the stat sheet, we dominated, right? So glass half full, we win at home, no problem. Let's crack on for the rest of the season. Glass half empty, we were on plan C, and it took a moment of brilliance, really, against the run of play. Fulham were kind of hitting us on the break. As soon as we took off the extra midfielder, we looked vulnerable. Fulham were there for the taking, I thought, in the first half, but I just didn't. I thought we could have been a little more aggressive. I felt like we were vulnerable on the counter, like that Maguire chance, then the leach off the line. If you really look at that, and it was 0-0 at both those opportunities, and then the Zirkzee chance was kind of, some quality from Zirkzee and Garnacho, which we've seen, Varane with the header late against Wolves in the season opener at home. But Fulham at home, we got to be doing better. Now, that being said, it's the first game of the season, and there's a lot of moving parts, like we mentioned, so I'm not going to get full glass half empty on it, but there are things you could say critically about this team that, I think it was a bad Fulham side as well. I'm going to also say they couldn't even pass. Like, they were pretty poor.
Well, it's, this United side's far from the genuine article, right, at this point. So there's a lot of things to still be working on. I agree. We gave them some very dangerous moments, which they did not capitalize. So that's a concern. Rashford doesn't quite look like 2 years ago Rashford, or even close. That's a concern. And there's some issues. There's still a lot of squad holes. We don't have any depth in left back. We were open at times, but promising. It was definitely better for game week 1, encouraging given how last season went. And, the boys showed a little gumption. 11, it's going to be a lot of tinkering. You can just expect that now because there will be injuries in this team. We have players coming back eventually. They're going to sign more players. And I think we might be bloated in certain positions where it's going to be really difficult to find a kind of ironed out 11 that you play week in, week out. But something to build on. I'll take it. 3 points. Decent result. It would have felt better if it was 2-0 or 3-0. But we put ourselves in a position where we had to get like a real squeaker of a goal like we did from Zirkzee when we missed really open. I'm not even talking about the late one, which is when they were going for it. We missed some pretty big chances. That 2.7 XG. You should be able to get.
No, I agree. I just had to, XG and stats. It was 0-0, and Fulham were running at us, and it was like the game was in the balance there. And at 87th minute, I just knew we were going to score just because I've seen this team play for however many years. I'm like, we're going to score. We're going to get a winner. It's just kind of when you're throwing McTominay on and you're just kind of going for it. That's kind of how we got these wins last year. So it's more about thinking about last year. I want plan A to work, and I want us to be like winning easy, getting kids on. But again, you can't have everything you want on day one of the season. And, maybe I unfairly mark United to what it would take to win a title because, again, that's kind of where we come from. We watched the team for 20 years, and you're like, hey, man, Fulham at home, and this is a bad Fulham, probably going to get relegated. You should be cooking them. And we came out really defensive, and as soon as we opened it up, the game kind of got away from us. So those are things to look for, and I think we're going to get better at all those things. Like you said, as soon as Højlund comes in, Zirkzee's up to fitness, I think you're going to see this United team do well. I was surprised how great of a game Zirkzee had. He looked much quicker. He's bigger out there, and also he's got that touch, and he's really confident on the ball. So I think that is, from what we saw for 30 minutes, there's a huge win. Maz looked great, tracked back on a big chance Fulham had in the first half. So lots of positives to take away. It's just that last season giving me anxiety. I don't want to go back. So I have to call it straight. Calling balls and strikes here on the pod, but overall a great win for the manager, but I bet he was sweating a little bit there in the 87th minute. Looking at the average position, United look pretty sound. You can see we're missing that focal point number 9 where you see Mason and Bruno. Bruno on the left, Mason on the right. Obviously, Bruno was getting a little more forward in the first half, but there's a big gap there, and that's where, like I said, Zirkzee is going to fill in, give us some more balance, push players up, and then get Bruno down into the half spaces where he thrives so much and is, the best chance creator in the world, and that will really unlock this team. You're just going to have to see, Casemiro and Mainu step up in the middle of the park, and obviously Mike Ugarte, so that will further strengthen this team and that setup. So exciting times for Manchester United. And, looking forward to Brighton because, this early in the season, like I said, the first games probably don't even count. It's it could be like a box of chocolates. You never know what you get. Like Brighton might show up. They did really well in their opening game. And so I hope United can keep it up.
Yeah, it's going to be an away ground. It's going to be 4:30 on the Pacific Coast. So we're looking forward to that. Any chance I can have to wake up before the sun rises to watch the greatest club in the world, that gets me excited. Definitely things to work on. Definitely room for improvement. Definitely going to be areas where this squad looks completely different in a few months, just based on the signings we're talking about. But far from the finished article. But I just need progress. Progress. New signings looking sharp. Mazraoui looking sharp. Zirkzee, like you said, it's like he's a different profile. You would look on paper, you'd assume he's the same profile as Hoyland. He's actually a different profile. Probably has better feet. He's got good feet, good balance.
He was coming deep too.
And he's fucking big. He is huge. He's like 6'5", and he's a thick boy, and he's pretty quick. So he seems a decent
amazing
size.
finish too.
A great finish.
Amazing finish.
Dutch finish. That's like a Dutch. The Dutch have that touch. So lots of things to be excited about. Lots of things to fix. A lot of concerns still, but hey, I'll take it. 1-0, 3 points. What's not to like?
Hey, I'll take it. Let's get into fan questions here. Everyone was buzzing after this win. At Sabres Car Guy 9, should have had more, but 3 points is 3 points. Lots of great movement off the ball and some sloppy play. Cass looked better today than most of last season. We got to have a 9 to play, not 2 interswitching 10s. Like, again, the American Red Devil community, they know it. Brian hit the nail on the head there. I think we're going to see the 2 10s, knowing Ten Hag likes to be, he likes to not switch it up for a couple of games. I think we're going to see it again. You also have to give it time to marinate, too. To be fair, Bruno and Mount haven't been able to play together that often. So, they're 2 amazing players. And I think what Erik Ten Hag is looking at is Mason's movement off the ball. Like, if you saw it, and it's like he wants that, and then he wants Bruno creating everything. And why not play your 2 best players? Like you said, you could look at your 11 and be like, hey, these are the best players. I'll play them.
And he bought them. I mean, he bought them a year ago when we had Bruno, Casemiro, even Eriksson. We have to figure out a way to play him, because like Bruno at his peak and Mason Mount at his peak should be starting for Manchester United. So it's like, how do you make that work? Obviously, we still need another number 9. I think regardless, I don't know if they're going to go that way, because we have so many players who could maybe play number 9 or a false 9. You have Ahmad, Jadon Sancho, etc. Even Rashford in a pinch. So it's all, good stuff. But I think you do want to see them play together at some point, because I don't want to the only spot for Mason Mount is Bruno's backup, because then we totally fucked up that signing profile.
Well,
gave him number 7 as well.
I feel like when you put Bruno on the right and then you maybe put Mount at 10, or you put Mount on the right and then you put Bruno at 10, that makes more sense to me as the shift. But when you put a Ahmad out there, that's where it just got a little gummed up. And I felt like sometimes they were too close to each other and they were all over the place. And at one point I'm like, tell me what position Mount and Bruno are playing. And they're basically two free-floating 10s. And in the first game of the season, that's got to be hard to deal with. And we saw it, but we also saw moments of brilliance where they almost just they both should have had goals at the same time. Both quality players, you can't deny that. I mean, obviously. So I just maybe try it without Ahmad and then put a 9 like Zirkzee and then put Mount on the right. I think that is another way to shoehorn him in against lower opposition teams. It should work. At MUFC Stan _NY, thoughts on playing 2 right backs. I think Maz would do just as well on the left, and Delo would be more comfortable going for on the right. What do you think about that? Do we give up something by putting Delo out of position?
I was thinking about this. I think what you're thinking about as a manager is you want to make sure you don't put too much pressure on the new guy. So it's if that means Maz is slightly more comfortable playing on the right versus the left back position, even if he's more than capable of playing a left back, I think you want to have the best chance for the early games and not have an embarrassment. So I would imagine that's why. Actually, I have no idea why, but that's my Muppet take is give the guy a chance. Don't put him left back where he's slightly less comfortable. Maybe he'll have a big error that will go, the way things go when they have it against United. But Mazzarelli looks like a very competent right back. Might even outshadow Delo and take his spot, because he's also big. He's also way bigger than I thought he would be. He showed up and he looked like he was holding his own in the EPL. So what do you think on this one, sir?
No, it worked. That's how I would say it. Nothing, Delo was missing on the right, but I think for a new player to come in, it's a big task, and he had to play, so you play him in his best position, like you said. At KGel Joel, massive 3 opening points. New arrivals. Maz looks like an upgrade based on his first match. Zirkzee did little until a sublime finish. DeLitt was a little rusty. Team looked much more composed up until the end when they got tired. Still too many individual errors. Look, highlighting the good and the bad, and that is what happens when you start the season after the Euros, right? You're going to have fitness issues, and also we're doing all the squad management, rotation, selling people. Like Sancho's not on the bench, for example. He's probably being sold. That's another guy that was fit in preseason that we're then taking out. So there's a lot of these musical chairs. It's not easy, so you got to underscore that. At United Scores, quote, we are who we thought they were, sirs. We need a world-class striker, either that or some clinicality. What do you make of that,
I mean, we gotta take our chances. And even when we played 20% of the time last year, we did play some decent football. We still had trouble taking our chances. So it would help. It would help, but Bruno should be able to do better. He had a couple of big opportunities, but a striker is what you need. It's like if we're gonna go and try and take it to the top teams in the league, and I think this is what Arsenal need if they want to take it to City. Like they need a killer number 9, and we have youngsters who could become that, but we need a utility player. We need like the Vardy party. We need like a salty old Englishman or equivalency who can come in and just score goals and play 30 games a year and give you a 15. It's like we need somebody who's gonna like be an anchor to score goals. We don't have that, so that's my concern.
No, it's valid. We need a number 9. Our Arsenal needs one too, and they don't come around too often. At Oscars Pop, created chances and grew into the game well. Certainly, the finishing can improve. Vast improvement over Wolves' opener last season. Totally agree.
Good point. Good point.
Great point. This was
They cooked us.
nothing like this was nothing like Wolves. We defended well throughout the game. Didn't give them a lot. Actually gave them like the lowest XG of any team.
Wolves was the opposite. Wolves is like if the game was flipped on XG.
Exactly. So like it's the complete opposite from a defensive perspective, but from the attack, it was similar. Lack of finishing quality, and then kind of like a late winner like that. But you're really nitpicking. I'm really nitpicking about that because number 1, you have to be able to control the ball, 55% possession. Number 2, you got to be able to create more expected goals than the opposition, and it will come, and it did. It just came in the 87th minute, and why not do it facing the Stretford Leinster, right? Isn't that it?
And I'd rather have us get a late winner, a 1-goal win with 2.7 in XG than 0.7 in XG.
Yes,
because it's like
yes, this
you don't
is the
feel
opposite.
like we stole one. We didn't steal one. We needed to get at least a goal. So it's more like it justifies the performance. So positives.
Maybe it's because I wanted to cook Fulham because we went to that game. And
we should have cooked them. We should have beat them by like 3-0.
I think that, look, mark my words, they look like they're going to be battling relegation.
You think that's a bold statement?
They looked bad. They looked bad. Like, I was surprised how bad they were.
I think Paulinho is going to be a big miss.
Yes.
When you don't have that in the EPL with so many dangerous players, like that's going to be a big miss.
Brighton, I think, is going to be a step up. I think Brighton is going to be a step up.
Even with
we
the new
learned.
coach?
Yeah, I watched the highlights. Brighton looked pretty sharp. They're going to be scoring some of those chances. That's kind of one of those things where I start. I'm like a little. Brighton make me a little nervous, but then again, I'm just gonna be nervous this whole season. That's just the way it is. At D_Cole18, Zirkzee looks hungry for goals. The difference in having a 9 and not was obvious after the subs. We can't play with one of our best attackers sitting on the bench because Rashi doesn't like playing 9.
Good point.
Man up or lose your spot. Positive from the lads overall. 3 points to start the season, sir. What do you make of that?
No, he looked hungry. He has the type of profile. He seems like a really good kid. They interviewed him after the fact. Seems like humble but hardworking, and exactly what we need. Knows for goal as well. And I also think to bring out the best in Hoyland. Hoyland had no competition last year because his competition was always in the physio in Martial. Now obviously Hoyland's hurt, but competition helps. It makes players step up, especially young players. So we got to find goals. We got to tighten up defense. We got a lot of areas to fix there, but we got time. We got 37 games to figure this out.
We got more than that. We have cup competitions and more to boot. Look, that's it. That's the podcast. Fulham, 3 points in the bag. You like the American Devils? Support us, americandevils.store. Grab some merch, shirts, hats, scarves. Support the Muppet Take. Check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/AmericanRedDevils. If you want more content and you want to be a top Muppet, Patreon is the way to go. Socials, you can YouTube. We're on YouTube now. Subscribe to our channel. Help us get the Muppet Take out there. Or small-time operations, sir. Give us our top 10 downloads last 7 days.
Number 1, how you doing? How you doing? Chicago, Illinois. Dublin, Ireland. Los Angeles, California. New York, New York. Oslo, Norway. Brooklyn, New York. Philadelphia, PA. Charlotte, North Carolina. Phoenix, Arizona. And last but not least, Dallas, Texas. Appreciate all the American Devils listening week in, week out. Couldn't do without you. We got Fulham next weekend. Early.
Brighton.
Brighton. We just had Fulham. Brighton and Hove Albion. Going out of Brighton, South Coast. It's going to be early. Can't wait, sir. What are we calling out? We're doing United Calypso chant. We hope everybody has a great week. We appreciate all of you, and we'll see you guys next time.